Welcome to Cosmo Talks. I'm Petra. In this episode, we explore when microorganisms determine the outcome and how you can be a good host to your microorganisms. Because together, you form a fascinating ecosystem. And when the interaction is right, when the crosstalk runs smoothly, you flourish. Two people eat exactly the same meal. One gets energy, the other feels tired. One digests it effortlessly, the other has problems for the rest of the day. How is that possible? The answer isn't in the meal, it's in who's eating that meal, or more precisely, in who's eating along. Your microbiome co-determines how your body responds to virtually everything you take in. Today you'll discover how the same input can produce completely different outputs and why that's not a bug, but a feature of how you work. What you eat is not directly what your body gets. First, it passes your gut bacteria. They ferment, transform, break down. They convert fibers into short-chain fatty acids. They metabolize polyphenols from vegetables and fruit. They influence how much energy you extract from your food. You supply the raw materials. Your microorganisms co-determine what happens with them. This explains why diets that work for one person fail for another. It explains why some people seem able to eat whatever they want, while others feel every gram. It's not fair, but it is understandable. In 2015, researchers from the Weizmann Institute in Israel published a groundbreaking study. They gave 800 people identical meals and measured their blood sugar response. The expectation was that the same meal would give the same response. The opposite turned out to be true. The variation was enormous. Some people had a spike after bread, others after a banana, and for others still, it made hardly any difference at all. What explained the difference? Largely, their microbiome. Each person's gut bacteria co-determined how quickly and how completely the meal was processed. In other words, the outcome of the same input was personal. This is a fundamental shift in how we need to look at nutrition. Not what is objectively healthy, but what is healthy for this person, with this microbiome, in this context. The same applies to medication. More and more research shows that your microbiome influences how drugs are absorbed and metabolized. The effectiveness of some cancer drugs turns out to correlate with gut bacteria composition. The microorganisms are not spectators, they're co-actors in virtually every process. At Cosmo Group, we saw this most clearly in sport. We worked with athletes from 117 different disciplines: cyclists, swimmers, judokas, sprinters, each with completely different physical demands. And what we discovered was that identical supplements or nutrition strategies had completely different effects depending on the individual. One marathon runner thrived on a certain recovery protocol, while another marathon runner with a comparable training load actually got worse from it. The athlete who responded poorly had a microbiome composition that processed certain substances from the supplement differently. Not the supplement's fault, not the athlete's fault. A mismatch between input and processing. This changed everything. We stopped looking for universal protocols and started mapping individual responses. One of our most memorable cases was a cyclist who had fought chronic fatigue for years. He had tried everything until we discovered that his microbiome was missing a specific bacterium, one essential for producing certain B vitamins. Supplementation didn't help because his gut couldn't process it. Only when we first addressed the microbiome did the supplementation work. The microorganisms determined whether the intervention worked. The aha moment is this: you are not standard. All those nutrition tips, all those scientifically proven guidelines, they're based on averages. And averages don't exist in the real world. There's no human being who is exactly average. When you understand that your microbiome co-determines the outcome, you get something back: agency, control. You can stop asking yourself why something that works for everyone doesn't work for you. It's not failure, it's biology, and biology can be investigated, understood, and to some extent adjusted. You're not defective if a diet doesn't work for you. You're unique, and that calls for a unique approach. Here's a practical biohack. Test your personal response. Choose one food you suspect doesn't suit you: bread, dairy, something specific. Eliminate it completely for 10 days. Note how you feel: energy, digestion, sleep, skin. After 10 days, reintroduce it. One day, full dose, and observe. Your body will tell you what your microbiome already knew. Not every reaction is dramatic, but most people notice something, and that something is information. Personal response is the only response that matters. This was Cosmo Talks. Remember, you are an ecosystem that responds, and that's good news, because every moment is a new opportunity. Want more insights, stories, and applications? Find us at cosmogroup.eu and on social media. Until the next episode.